The journey from South Korea had awakened an insatiable wanderlust in me. I was spellbound by the vibrant streets of Seoul, but as the final moments of my stay slipped away, I found my thoughts turning to the next chapter. I had a map of East Asia unfurling in my mind, and at its center glimmered Hong Kong and Shanghai like jewels waiting to be discovered. The pull of adventure was strong, and I felt a compelling urge to embrace the unknown once again. Packing my bags became a ritual of sorts. The weight of anticipation mixed with the anxiety of stepping into yet another unfamiliar world. Every item I chose was a token of the journey ahead. I could already envision the bustling streets of Hong Kong and the soaring skyscrapers of Shanghai. I had read about these cities, each one brimming with history and modern wonders, but nothing could prepare me for how they would make me feel. As my plane descended into Hong Kong, I peered out of the window, captivated by the stunning skyline punctuated by towering buildings that seemed to kiss the clouds. I could feel the electricity in the air, a buzz that hinted at stories hidden in every corner. Stepping into the city was like walking into a live painting, colorful, chaotic, and teeming with life. I glanced around at other travelers and locals, each with their own narrative woven into the fabric of this vibrant metropolis. My first stop was Victoria Peak, renowned for its breathtaking panoramic views of the glittering harbor below. The tram ride was steep and exhilarating, with the city unfolding beneath me like a colorful tapestry. As I reached the top, the sight took my breath away. The sun dipped toward the horizon, casting golden hues over the skyline, and I felt a profound connection to the city. It was as if the view whispered secrets of the past, present, and future. But it wasn't just about sights. It was about embracing the culture. I made my way to the bustling streets of Mongkok, drawn by the intoxicating scents wafting from food stalls. I sampled everything from dim sum to the famous egg waffles, each bite bursting with flavor and a sense of tradition. Conversations with the locals revealed their relentless spirit and pride in their heritage, and I found myself marveling at how food could connect me to their culture in a way that words could not. Among the myriad of experiences in Hong Kong, one stood out: visiting the Tian Tan Buddha on Lantau Island. The hike up the steps was both challenging and rewarding, a physical echo of my own internal struggles. There, perched majestically, the giant Buddha gazed down upon the landscape, embodying a sense of tranquility that I sought amid my whirlwind of emotions. Standing before it, I reflected on my journey, my fears, and my desires, finding a moment of stillness in the chaos of the bustling city life around me. After soaking up the soul of Hong Kong, I turned my gaze toward Shanghai. The flight was brief, but felt like a leap into an entirely different era. Shanghai, with its blend of Eastern and Western influences, promised more than just a change in scenery. It represented a clash of worlds that intrigued me. As I wandered through the Bund, I felt the allure of the city's colonial past intertwined with its hypermodern present. The Gothic architecture lined the waterfront like guardians of time, while the futuristic skyline across the river reminded me that this city was a living pulse of innovation, always striving for more. My exploration led me to Yew Garden, a place that encapsulated serenity amid the urban whirlwind. As I strolled through the lush landscapes dotted with traditional pavilions, I was drawn into the history around me. Each stone, each path whispered tales of dynasties past, and I felt pride swell in my chest for the resilience and creativity of those who shaped this beautiful reality. I took a moment to breathe in the tranquility, grounding myself as I pondered my own journey of self-discovery. But no adventure is complete without moments of doubt. As I meandered through the streets of Shanghai, I grappled with uncertainties about my path. The city thrummed with energy, and I couldn't help but wonder if I was truly brave enough to follow my dreams. I found solace in the crowds that bustled by, their laughter and conversations reminding me that life was a shared experience, a beautiful tapestry that included all the varied emotions I felt. My final destination was a place I had read about extensively: Nanjing Road, a bustling shopping street alive with activity. I was fascinated by the idea of witnessing modern consumer culture, feeling its pulse as I navigated through shops and street vendors. The colors, the sounds, The laughter that bounced around me created a mosaic that needed no translation. Yet beneath the exhilaration, I felt a twinge of melancholy, a realization that no matter where I traveled, the journey inward was the most challenging of all. As my time in these incredible cities began to close, I took a moment atop the famed Shanghai Tower. The city sprawled beneath me, a labyrinth of dreams and aspirations. With each passing second, the sun dipped lower behind the horizon, casting a warm farewell. It occurred to me that while I had embarked on this adventure seeking external discoveries, the greatest revelations lay within. This journey was not solely about the places I visited. It was about the person I was becoming with each experience, each challenge, each moment of beauty and doubt. As the glow of the city lights flickered on, I realized that this was just the beginning. Hong Kong and Shanghai had given me new lenses through which to view the world, igniting a fire within me to explore further. With a heart full of memories and a spirit eager for the next adventure, I stepped away from the railing, ready to embrace whatever lay ahead, confident that the next chapter was only a dream away. The moment I stepped off the plane in Hong Kong, a whirlwind of emotions washed over me, each vying for attention as I stood, somewhat dazed, in the bustling airport. The air was thick with the scent of exotic spices and the distant hum of conversations in a language I barely understood. My heart raced, a fusion of fear and excitement, as I made my way through the crowds. The bright neon signs outside caught my eye, their colors vibrant against the twilight sky, drawing me closer into the city's embrace. With every step I took, the echoes of my own doubts began to surface. Was I really ready for this adventure? The thought of navigating a new city overwhelmed me. I could feel the weight of uncertainty pressing on my shoulders like a heavy coat, tempting me to turn back toward the familiar. But I pushed those thoughts aside, inhaling deeply, letting the rush of humanity invigorate me. There was something electrifying about being in a place so alive with energy, a place that promised discovery around every corner. As I stepped outside the airport, the oppressive heat enveloped me, mingling with a light drizzle that had begun to fall. I could feel the humidity settling on my skin, a comforting reminder that I was far from home. The chaos outside was mesmerizing. The thrumming of the city's heart filled my chest with a fierce sense of anticipation. I took my first steps on foreign soil, feeling both small and empowered in this vast, bustling metropolis. The sounds of chatter, laughter, and the occasional honking of taxis created a symphony that resonated deep within, urging me forward into the unknown. Navigating the taxis and buses was a dance of navigation. I hesitated, glancing at the maps on my phone, feeling a wave of vulnerability wash over me. I felt out of place and unprepared in a city where everyone seemed to know exactly where they were going. But as I waited for my ride, I took a moment to soak it all in. The high-rise buildings looming above, the sweet and savory aromas wafting from nearby food stalls, the juxtaposition of modernity entwined with rich cultural heritage. Each detail ignited a spark of inspiration, igniting my desire to explore every hidden alley and bustling market. The moment I stepped into the taxi, the fear subsided slightly, replaced by a rush of unexpected euphoria. The driver, a middle-aged man with a friendly grin, spoke to me in broken English, pointing out landmarks as we sped through the streets. I watched in awe as the city unfolded before me, futuristic skyscrapers intertwined with lush greenery, and the vibrant colors of street vendors contrasting against the concrete jungle. I found myself smiling at the sheer beauty and chaos of it all, feeling a connection to a world that was both alien and exhilaratingly familiar. Arriving at my hotel, I stepped into the lobby, a world of understated luxury that made me feel a little out of my depth. I could feel the excitement bubbling up again, but alongside it, the ever-present undertow of self-doubt tugged at me. Could I really navigate this city? Would I be able to communicate, to understand its rhythm and pulse? Yet, as I looked out the window at the skyline bathed in the glow of the setting sun, those doubts began to dissolve. The beauty of Hong Kong, a city fiercely alive with possibilities, reignited my spirit. After settling in, I ventured out into the night. The streets were ablaze with activity, as if the city never truly slept. I was drawn to the aroma of street food, my senses overwhelmed by choices. I hesitated before a stall selling bao buns, a mix of fear and exhilaration coursing through me. Would I like it? Would I make a fool of myself trying to order? But I gathered the courage, approached the vendor, and with a smile, pointed at the deliciously tempting food. The moment I took my first bite, the flavors exploding in my mouth, I felt a wave of joy. It was a small victory, yet it filled me with a sense of accomplishment that pushed me to embrace the unexpected. As I meandered through the bustling streets, each turn revealed something new. Neon lights reflecting on rain-slicked pavements, the contagious laughter of locals, and the cacophony of voices dancing around me. My heart swelled with inspiration, the fear of the unknown transforming into a thrilling sense of adventure. Each new experience beckoned me with open arms, encouraging me to overcome my hesitations and embrace the vibrant chaos surrounding me. The evenings in Hong Kong were magical, and as I wandered through the night markets, I marveled at the kaleidoscope of sights and sounds. My senses came alive as I watched the street performers, their energy captivating, drawing crowds that swayed and cheered. I felt an intoxicating mix of admiration and envy for those who moved with such confidence, their joy evident. In that moment, I realized that the fears and doubts that had shadowed my arrival were fading, replaced by a determination to immerse myself fully in this journey. With each passing day, I felt myself shedding the layers of uncertainty. I started to seek out experiences that terrified me, riding the iconic tram up Victoria Peak, navigating the MTR system, and embarking on hikes leading to breathtaking vistas of the harbor. The initial trepidation faded with each challenge I faced, replaced by an electric confidence that surged through me like the city itself. Reflecting on my journey, I understood that fear and inspiration coexist like two sides of the same coin. The doubts I encountered only made the moments of exhilaration all the more potent. As I stood in the heart of Hong Kong, surrounded by a city bursting with life, I came to appreciate the beauty in uncertainty, a reminder that sometimes the greatest adventures lie just beyond our comfort zones. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting a golden glow over the skyline, I felt a profound sense of gratitude for this experience. Hong Kong was not just a destination. It was a catalyst for change, a place that forced me to confront my fears and embrace the unknown. My journey was far from over, and as I prepared to move on to Shanghai and then beyond, I carried with me the lessons learned, the friendships forged, and the spirit of exploration that Hong Kong had awakened within me. I stepped off the plane into the humid air of Hong Kong. An intoxicating mixture of excitement and apprehension washed over me. The cacophony of sounds hit me all at once. The chatter of countless conversations, the distant hum of vehicles, and the vibrant calls of street vendors created a symphonic backdrop that felt foreign yet exhilarating. I inhaled deeply, the scent of sizzling street food mingling with the sharp aroma of incense wafting from nearby shops, a sensory overload that was both overwhelming and comforting. Navigating through the bustling airport with its modern architecture and vibrant energy, I was immediately struck by the fast-paced rhythm of life that seemed to consume everyone around me. The people flowed like a river, each on their own journey but somehow synchronized in their purpose. I felt like an outsider, caught in the tide of this new world, unsure of how to navigate the ebb and flow of the crowd. As I stepped onto the streets of Hong Kong, the dazzling skyline towered above me, illuminated by neon lights that twinkled like stars against the night sky. I wandered through the narrow alleyways, enchanted by the sights and sounds that surrounded me. Markets teemed with life, stalls overflowing with vibrant fruits and vegetables, and the tantalizing aroma of roasted meats drew me closer. I hesitated at first, my reluctance to venture into unknown culinary territory battling with my hunger and curiosity. Finally, I ordered a plate of dim sum, the soft, delicate dumplings steaming on my plate as I tentatively took my first bite. The explosion of flavors, savory, spicy, sweet, was nothing short of a revelation. I felt a sense of pride and gratitude as I savored each morsel, beginning to embrace the adventure of culinary exploration. Yet, amid the thrill of discovery, I often found myself grappling with new challenges. The language barrier felt daunting. My attempts at speaking Mandarin or Cantonese were met with amused smiles or puzzled expressions. I stumbled through phrases, relying heavily on hand gestures and a translator app on my phone. At times, the frustration of not being understood left me feeling isolated, an intruder in a place bursting with life. I longed for the comfort of familiarity, for conversations that flowed easily and connections that felt effortless. As days turned into weeks, I slowly began to navigate my surroundings with more confidence. I learned to appreciate the nuances of the culture as I observed the locals. I watched as families gathered for meals in small restaurants, laughter and stories shared over steaming bowls of noodles, an experience that felt intimate, even if I was merely a spectator. I made a concerted effort to be more open, to learn from those around me rather than retreating into my shell. I started greeting shopkeepers with a warm smile. My words might have faltered, but my gestures conveyed a willingness to connect. One evening, as I wandered through the bustling streets of Kok, I stumbled upon a street festival. The vibrancy of the event was palpable, stalls set up under colorful lights, and locals engaging in traditional dances. I could feel the energy pulsing through the crowd, drawing me in. I found myself swept into the festivities, even attempting to learn a few dance steps from a friendly group of festival goers. It was one of those moments when the fear of being an outsider melted away, replaced by a sense of belonging that took me by surprise. Shanghai, my next destination, offered a contrast to the hectic pace of Hong Kong. As I arrived, the skyline was a blend of modern architecture intertwined with historical buildings, a testament to a city that embraced both its past and its future. The air was thick with the scent of street food, scallion pancakes sizzling on hot griddles, the sweet aroma of candied fruits tempting my senses. I wandered through the Bund, the city's iconic waterfront, and gazed in awe at the illuminated skyline reflecting on the Huangpu River. But adaptation is rarely smooth. The cultural shift was palpable. In Shanghai, the crowds felt even denser and the pace quicker, leaving me breathless at times. My attempts at conversation often halted abruptly when my limited dictionary of phrases succumbed to the complexity of the language. I faced moments of solitary exploration where the thrill of adventure waned under the weight of isolation. I sought respite in the small tea houses that dotted the city. Here, amidst the gentle clinking of cups and the soothing murmurs of conversation, I found solace. I learned to appreciate the art of tea ceremonies, watching as skilled hands poured boiling water over delicate leaves, the aroma enveloping me in warmth. The locals welcomed me, sharing stories over cups of fragrant tea, their laughter piercing the loneliness I sometimes felt. The warmth of human connection began to feel like my lifeline. I joined expat groups and language exchange meetups, where I connected with others navigating similar cultural waters. The stories of their struggles mirrored mine, creating a tapestry of shared experiences that lessened my feelings of isolation. Each exchange was a lesson in resilience, as I learned that these challenges were not mine alone. They were woven into the fabric of every traveler's journey. Through these connections and experiences, I learned to embrace the discomfort, to approach each day as a blank canvas waiting to be filled with new experiences. The language barrier transformed from a source of frustration to an opportunity for creativity. I began to find joy in miscommunication, laughing over my blunders and learning from them. Every awkward attempt became a stepping stone, and each interaction opened doors to understanding the culture more deeply. I also faced the cultural differences in daily life, the way people interacted, the importance of saving face, and the nuances of respect were different than what I was accustomed to. It took time to navigate these subtleties, but with every encounter, I learned to adapt, letting go of preconceived notions and embracing the beauty of diversity. The local customs became an intricate dance that I was slowly beginning to decipher, the beat of which I started to feel in my bones. Soon, the vibrant chaos of Hong Kong and the undeniable hustle of Shanghai transformed from daunting challenges into exhilarating opportunities for growth. I learned to step out of my comfort zone and embrace the uncertainty, to let the unfamiliar weave into the fabric of my experiences. As I left Shanghai for my next adventure, I felt a sense of accomplishment, a feeling that echoed beyond mere travel. I had traversed the landscapes of fear, loneliness, and cultural barriers, only to emerge more connected to the world and its people. The journey ahead promised more challenges, but I welcomed them with an open heart, knowing that each experience would help me grow just a little bit more into the person I was destined to become. As I embarked on my journey to East Asia, I was filled with excitement and anticipation, knowing that both Hong Kong and Shanghai were waiting to reveal their unique charms. The flight seemed to take forever, but once I landed in Hong Kong, I could feel the vibrant pulse of the city. My first stop was Victoria Peak, a must-see that promised breathtaking views of the infamous skyline. I boarded the Peak tram, an iconic funicular railway, and felt a rush of adrenaline as the train climbed steeply. As the city unfolded beneath me, I was awestruck by the towering skyscrapers juxtaposed against the lush hillside. Upon reaching the peak, I strolled along the sky terrace, and the panoramic view of Hong Kong harbor was surreal. The blend of modern architecture and nature left me speechless. Each skyscraper stood as a testament to human creativity, glinting in the sunlight, while the distant mountains served as a serene backdrop. Later that evening, I decided to explore Tsim Sha Tsui and its famous promenade. The skyline had transformed. Illuminated buildings reflected on the water, creating a mesmerizing sight. I found a spot at the Avenue of Stars, paying homage to the film industry. Watching the Symphony of Lights show was magical. The buildings collectively danced with color and sound, encapsulating the spirit of the city. I savored egg tarts from a street vendor, their flaky crusts and creamy, filling a delightful introduction to local delicacies. As my adventure continued, I uncovered the streets of Mongkok, known for its bustling markets. The ladies' market was a sensory overload, filled with stalls selling clothes, accessories, and souvenirs. I bargained fiercely, embracing the local culture, and left with bags full of trinkets and memories. The food scene was also captivating, from indulging in steaming bowls of wonton noodles to digging into a plate of dim sum in a hidden tea house. The authenticity of the dishes, prepared with care and rich in flavor, captured the essence of Cantonese cuisine. Moving on, I boarded a fast ferry to Macau for a day trip. The contrast with Hong Kong was striking. Ancient temples coexisted with modern casinos. Strolling through the cobblestone streets of the historic center of Macau felt like stepping back in time. I visited the ruins of St. Paul's, which stood majestically against the backdrop of a vibrant city. The blend of Portuguese and Chinese cultures was evident in the pastel-colored buildings and tantalizing culinary offerings. I sampled the famous Portuguese egg tart, a delightful fusion of and flaky pastry. Leaving Hong Kong behind, I made my way to Shanghai. The city's magnificent skyline greeted me, featuring the Oriental Pearl Tower, a symbol of modern China. I settled into my hotel in the Bund area, known for its colonial architecture and stunning waterfront views. The promenade was the perfect location for my evening walk, with the Huangpu River reflecting the dazzling lights of the skyscrapers like a sparkling jewel. A river cruise allowed me to see the city from a different perspective, and as I drifted along the water, the historical buildings on one side stood in stark contrast to the modern and futuristic skyline on the other. The next day, I visited Yuyuan Garden, an oasis of tranquility amidst the urban chaos. The classical Chinese architecture, with intricately carved wooden pavements and koi ponds, took my breath away. Wandering through the maze of lush greenery, I marveled at the artistry of the garden's design. Nearby, the city god temple market caught my attention, bustling with vendors selling everything from calligraphy scrolls to herbal teas. I found a small stall selling jianbing, a savory crepe that felt like the perfect breakfast, wrapped in flavors that burst with every bite. As I continued my exploration, I made my way to the heart of Shanghai's art scene, the M50 Art District. Positioned in a former textile factory, the converted warehouses showcased contemporary art pieces that challenged modern perceptions. I was enthralled by the creativity on display, talking to local artists and gaining insight into their inspirations. The vibrant atmosphere encouraged an appreciation for the intertwining of history and modernity that defines the city. The next day, I ventured to the historic French concession area. The tree-lined streets and charming boutiques created a more laid-back vibe compared to the hustle and bustle elsewhere. I stumbled upon small cafes that served the best coffee and pastries. I found myself sitting in one, sipping a latte and enjoying a leisurely morning as I watched locals and travelers alike. The atmosphere was inviting. It felt like I had uncovered a hidden gem away from the typical tourist trails. In the evenings, I found solace at the rooftop bar of my hotel, where I could look out over the city skyline. Sipping on cocktails, I reflected on my experiences. The juxtaposition of old and new, east and west, made both cities extraordinarily captivating. Each location I visited contributed to a greater understanding of the rich tapestry that is Chinese culture. I ventured to Zhujiajie, a nearby water town known for its canals and bridges, reminiscent of Venice. The boat ride through the ancient waterways felt like a step back in time. I passed by traditional houses, quaint shops, and small gardens. Sampling local delicacies, including sweet rice cakes, added to the experience as I mingled with locals who welcomed me with warm smiles. The last stop on my trip was the Shanghai Tower, where I ascended to the observation deck. As I stood atop one of the tallest buildings in the world, I was engulfed by an overwhelming sense of accomplishment and gratitude. The sprawling city lay beneath me, a vibrant tapestry of life, reminding me of the incredible journey I had taken through both Hong Kong and Shanghai. I breathed in the atmosphere and absorbed the energy of the places I had visited. As I prepared to return home, I realized that this trip had been more than just sightseeing. It was an immersion into the culture, history, and spirit of two remarkable cities. From bustling markets and night cruises to serene temples and rooftop bars, each moment was a tapestry woven into the fabric of my memories. I left with a heart full of experiences and a desire to return and uncover even more of the stories that Hong Kong and Shanghai had to offer. As I stepped off the bus, the sounds of the city enveloped me. The roar of engines, the chatter of people, and the distant wail of sirens formed an unfamiliar symphony. I took a deep breath, both excited and anxious, feeling the weight of my suitcase dragging behind me. The humid air clung to my skin, and I knew that this city, vibrant and chaotic, would both challenge and transform me. Navigating public transport became an immediate lesson in resilience. The subway system, a web of lines and stations, felt daunting at first. I fumbled with my Metro card, the small piece of plastic that held the key to my mobility. With each trip, I felt a sense of accomplishment. However, the crowded cars often turned into a pressure chamber, bodies pressed close together, a silent understanding shared among strangers. I found solace in observing those around me. Students buried in books, workers engrossed in their phones, tourists with maps scattered open. One evening, after a long day of job hunting, I boarded a train that was unnaturally quiet. As the doors slid shut, I noticed an elderly man sitting alone, staring out the window. His weathered face told stories of hardships and joys long past. I felt an urge to speak, to connect with someone amidst the mechanical hustle. "It's a beautiful city, isn't it?" I ventured. The man turned to me, a light flickering in his eyes, and we struck up a conversation. He shared tales of his youth, of dreams pursued and lost. That unexpected encounter lifted my spirits. Connecting with him reminded me of my purpose here. I was not just seeking work, but also looking for a sense of belonging. But the journey wasn't without its hurdles. One night, I miscalculated the time and found myself stranded when the last train of the evening departed without me. The city turned colder as I walked the dimly lit streets, each shadow playing tricks on my mind. My heart raced with fear. Every step echoed with uncertainty. Just as despair began to seep in, I stumbled upon a small diner, its neon sign flickering with promise. Inside, the warmth enveloped me. I ordered a coffee, not just for warmth but for comfort. The waitress, a kind woman with a knowing smile, noticed my unease. She sat down for a moment, sharing her own stories of survival in this city. That brief interaction was a balm for my soul, a potent reminder of kindness found in unexpected places. I faced moments where I almost gave up, feeling like a driftwood lost in an ocean of opportunities with waves of uncertainty crashing against me. There were days when rejections piled up like a mountain, suffocating my spirit. I watched my dreams flicker like candle flames in a draft. They needed nurturing. Just when I thought I couldn't take another setback, an unexpected phone call came, an invitation for an interview. The thrill of hope surged through me, and I realized every closed door brought me closer to another opening. As I continued to explore the city, I met another group of individuals who became my support system. We bonded over shared struggles, each of us carving our unique path while navigating the challenges of a big city. We laughed over coffee, shared dreams under the stars, and encouraged one another when doubts crept in. It was a beautiful juxtaposition of camaraderie and conflict. The external challenges of our environment mirrored the internal battles we fought. Our friendships became a lifeline, pulling me back whenever I felt adrift. One night, we decided to attend a local concert in a park. The energy was palpable as lights twinkled above us, mirroring the stars. As we swayed to the music, I was overcome with gratitude. Here I was, surrounded by friends who felt like family, in a city that initially felt so foreign. For a fleeting moment, I allowed myself to forget the struggles, the loneliness that occasionally loomed over me. We danced, sang, and embraced the freedom of that night, the beats drowning out the whispers of doubt in my mind. But challenges lurked just behind the joys. One evening, after returning from a gathering, I was approached by a group of intimidating figures in a dark alley. Fear gripped me. I thought of every worst-case scenario. Just as I was about to panic, a siren blared in the distance, and the figures hesitated, turning their attention elsewhere. In that split second, adrenaline spiked my resolve. I tore away, heart pounding, soaking in the realization of my own strength. I could face the unknown, and I could survive. The months rolled on, and the city continued to shape me. I learned to embrace uncertainty, finding beauty in the unexpected. Each ride on the subway, every challenge I faced, became a thread woven into my story. I discovered hidden cafes tucked away in alleys, gave directions to lost tourists, and engaged in hurried small talk with baristas who began to remember my name. It was a journey of growth, a battle between fear and courage. I settled into a rhythm, my fleeting moments of doubt overshadowed by the vibrant tapestry of experiences I was weaving. The city, once an intimidating giant, became a familiar friend. I connected with others, growing closer to those who shared the struggle of building a life in a bustling metropolis. In the midst of the noise and chaos, I found my voice. I learned that every setback held a lesson, every challenge, an opportunity for growth. I emerged stronger, fueled by hope and energized by the friendships I had forged along the way. The city taught me resilience, and in return, I found my place within its endless stories. My journey was not merely about reaching the destination, but about the experiences that shaped me along the way. Each bus ride, each encounter, each struggle, a crucial part of my evolving narrative. The richness of life lay not just in triumphs, but also in moments of vulnerability, in connections made in fleeting exchanges. I stepped forward with a renewed purpose, ready to embrace whatever the city had in store for me next. I in the heart of Hong Kong, where the vibrant cityscape meets the serene mountains. I found myself wandering through the bustling streets filled with scents of street food and the sounds of chatter. My trip had started as a simple vacation, but little did I know that it would lead me to an unexpected adventure that would change my perspective on life forever. It was a seemingly ordinary evening when I decided to explore the famed night markets. Stalls burst with colorful goods and tantalizing delicacies. Suddenly, as I examined a collection of intricate jade bracelets, I caught a glimpse of an elderly vendor who looked particularly distressed. His hands trembled as he tried to arrange his wares, and I could see frustration etched on his face. Curiosity piqued, I approached him, and in broken conversations, I learned that he was on the verge of losing his stall due to a sudden rise in rent and competition from larger businesses. Moved by his plight, I decided to help. I initiated a small conversation with him, sharing stories about my life and my dreams while he revealed the rich history behind each piece of jewelry he sold. As he spoke, I found myself captivated by his worn hands, each wrinkle telling a story of perseverance and passion. His name was Mr. Lee, and his family had been in the jade business for generations. The city was changing, but he remained steadfast in his belief that his craft was about more than just profit. It was about heritage and the stories behind each piece. My decision to help Mr. Lee quickly became an all-consuming mission. I devised a plan to promote his stall on social media, targeting tourists and locals alike. We offered unique experiences, workshops where visitors could learn about jade carving and the art of traditional craftsmanship. As word spread, foot traffic increased, and Mr. Lee's stall began to thrive, rekindling the pride he once had in his work. While working with him, I discovered the history of jade in Chinese culture, its significance and symbolism, and the ancient beliefs surrounding its healing properties. The more I learned, the more I felt connected to not only Mr. Lee's story, but also to the very heartbeat of Hong Kong itself. I came to realize that what I had initially thought was just a trip for leisure had now become a journey of deep human connection and understanding of cultural resilience. However, as our success grew, so did the challenges. Larger businesses began to take note of our rising popularity, and soon, they expressed interest in purchasing Mr. Lee's stall. He was faced with the dilemma of selling out and ensuring financial security for his family, or holding on to a legacy steeped in history. It was a moment that forced us both to reflect on what truly mattered. In those days, we would sit for hours discussing the philosophy of work, life, and the importance of pursuing one's passion over material wealth. Through this process, I started to rethink my own life choices and the path I was on. Then came the unexpected twist. One night, we received an invitation to participate in a prestigious cultural festival showcasing local artisans. Winning the competition would mean substantial exposure and potential partnerships with local museums. Mr. Lee was hesitant, fearing it might bring too much change. He questioned whether his traditional craft could truly compete in an ever-changing world. I encouraged him, sharing my newfound belief that his skills and story were of utmost value, ones that needed to be shared. The day of the festival arrived, filled with excitement and nervousness. Together, we displayed not only his jewelry but also the narratives behind each piece. The judges were impressed by the authenticity, the heart that emanated from the stall. The festival concluded with an awards ceremony. I held my breath as the announcer hesitated before revealing the winner. He wanted to preserve his integrity and not let go of the soul of his craft, while I yearned to continue this journey of rediscovery. Just when I thought we might win, the winner was announced. It was another vendor, much larger and more commercialized. I felt a mix of disappointment and relief. I understood Mr. Lee's hesitations more than ever. But then, something extraordinary happened. The owner of the winning stall approached Mr. Lee and offered to collaborate instead of compete, recognizing the beauty and uniqueness of his craft. This partnership would allow Mr. Lee to maintain his stall, giving him a chance to reach broader audiences without sacrificing his integrity. I realized that success isn't solely measured in awards or revenue, but in connections, collaborations, and preserving genuine artistry amidst a modern world. As the festival drew to a close, I packed my bags, knowing that my trip would end soon. Yet, I felt a deep change within me, a connection to Mr. Lee and the community that I would carry forever. As the flight back to the States approached, my mind was racing. I found solace in the tales of jade and resilience, carrying with me not only souvenirs but a new outlook on life. I was homeward bound, inspired to make artful decisions in my own life. Just as the plane took off, I glanced through my window for the last glimpse of the city. In that moment, I felt an overwhelming urge to explore further. One dream emerged clearer than ever. I needed to follow this passion for storytelling and craftsmanship. As I spirited away from the skyline of Hong Kong, a thought struck me. What about visiting the ancient Silk Roads or indulging in the intricate cultures of Southeast Asia? The possibilities were endless. And just like that, a new adventure awaited.